welcome to the Game Day preview show with myself, and I'm joined by the wonderful Lewis. Hi.
I'm good. How are you? How's everything?
I'm good. Bounced back from Chelsea at the weekend?
Hopefully. Like, I'm not going to say too much because apparently I do say too much. So
oh, wow. I mean, that photo of you, head in your hands, it was just like a viral sensation the other day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the reminder. Much appreciated.
I have to say, it was one of my favourite photos I've seen this season. Maybe not the result. I mean, it's like both the lesser two evils.
Exactly, for you, West Ham and Chelsea.
Exactly. A draw would have been better. But moving on, this weekend's fixtures, we've got lots in store. So let's start with Liverpool versus Aston Villa. It is Gerrard's first match against Liverpool as a manager. He played for Liverpool 710 times. How do you think Steven Gerrard, his managerial career at Villa started?
Managerial career started as good as you'd want it to. Obviously, like, it's not a 100% record, but they face Manchester City at home as well. And they're in that sort of form where you can't really stop them and they're just absolutely battering teams. So you can't even hold that against Steven Gerrard. And they even had a good game and handled themselves very well against Man City.
They definitely could have got a draw out of that game.
Definitely could have. And it's just showing how good they've been since Gerrard's joined. And that's why this is going to be a very intriguing match. Also, you take into effect Gerrard returning back to Anfield and everything. Liverpool fans going to be hella emotional and everything like that. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm not too sure how to predict this one because I could see Villa sneak a draw. I think it'd be a bit unlikely to see them get a win there. They are capable of it. Liverpool's defence is solid, but they can be broken. But I just think that attack is too strong, way too strong.
I mean, we just know how incredible that Mane, Salah, Jota front three are. I mean, they're just like enviable, aren't they?
And then you take into account the midfield as well. They're now getting goals, and plus Trent on the right-hand side. Yeah. Newcastle, Robertson on the left. There's going to be so many areas that they can create chances.
Yeah, and they rested quite a few, obviously, when they faced AC Milan earlier this week. Mane and Salah did start, but there was a, it kind of was a bit like a reserve, a little bit of a mixture in that side. So it did give some players time to rest. Liverpool have won 6 of their last 7 Premier League games against Aston Villa. They've only lost once, scoring at least twice in all 7 games. And I have to say, I think that with Steven Gerrard coming home, Gerrard's made it very clear, as much as he absolutely loves Liverpool, this is, no sentimental value for him. He's there to take the win and obviously push Aston Villa to the next level.
You can't even show sentimental value, especially this early into the Villa job. Because there are players that have shown hints of that in the past. Like, I remember John Terry when he was at Aston Villa for the last 2 years of his contract. They went up, and there was rumours that he was going to sign a new contract that said he wouldn't play against Chelsea and stuff like that. And I like it, but yeah, you can't do that. You can't. Once you leave the club, you're not part of the club anymore. You have to treat him like the enemy.
Yeah, and also the fact is, I think that, him taking the job in the Premier League, coming from Rangers with Gerrard, I think that it's obviously got one eye on probably the Liverpool job after Jurgen Klopp maybe
Apparently
leaves.
the contracts expire at the same time.
Yeah, and I think it all kind of lines up well. So he'll want to be making sure that Villa do their absolute best to, kind of gear him up for that Liverpool role. Aston Villa have won 3 of their 4 Premier League games under Gerrard since he came in, as many as they had done in 11 under Dean Smith. So we know there's been so much impact from Steven Gerrard. Do you rate him as a manager?
Done excellently at Rangers. I think he went invincible with them as well the season that they won the league. And the start's been perfect. Like, I always think with like these new managers, you can't judge them immediately. You have to judge them over the course of like 20, 30 games because you need to see how they react to a bad run of form. But right now, you can only judge it off what you see. And he's done excellently. He's got the results that he's been expected to get. They've been playing good football. He's got the best out of the Aston Villa side. Can't really ask for much more from him.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see what goes on. So let's have your prediction, please, for Liverpool Aston Villa.
2-1 Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, 2-1. Because I think they'll still get goals in this game, but let me go 3-1 actually, only because of how strong Liverpool's attack been. I still expect them to go through Villa, but I don't expect them to make it easy either.
Okay, I'm liking your 2-1, but something in me is telling me a 2-2.
I could see a draw. I could.
Do you know what? I do some rogue predictions sometimes, and sometimes they come off. So I'm going to go 2-2 in this game.
I don't blame you for thinking that. They've dropped points and been a bit sloppy at times too.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Gerrard could capitalise on it.
Let's wait and see what happens there. Chelsea take on Leeds. Chelsea looking to bounce back after losing to West Ham. Yeah. They've won their last 4 home games against Leeds. Never won 5 in a row against them at Stamford Bridge. Leeds obviously not in a very good run of form. I mean, obviously, actually, Patrick Bamford came back and got that goal.
That's what's worrying me. He's coming back at the right time.
Yeah, you don't think that obviously Chelsea have too much for Leeds in this game?
As a squad, definitely, but it's all about form too. And right now, we aren't in the best of form. We haven't been playing well since we lost Ben Chilwell against Juventus, and Leeds have come back. They had a good resurgent draw against Brentford. They're going to be in semi-decent spirits now, and especially with Patrick Bamford coming back as well, because I think that's a big reason for why they weren't restarting the season as well. That's 18 goals taken out of a newly promoted side or second season side, isn't it? So I think him coming back is going to inject a lot of confidence into the squad, especially Bamford playing against Chelsea because he came through our youth system as well. He's always going to be wanting to prove himself against us. I don't think it's as easy as people make it out to be, especially the way Leeds play. They're going to be playing on the front foot. They're going to try to give us a match as well. And also the fact that it's the first time we've played Leeds with a full crowd since they were last back in the Premier League. A lot of different factors into it. Like I still am confident that Chelsea can get a win in this game, but I don't think it's going to be easy. Yeah,
you are right. Like we mentioned about Patrick Bamford coming back. Of course, they've got Rafinha as well, and they have started to look a little bit better in recent weeks. They've got a really, really tough Christmas period. I think they've got to face both Manchester United and City, I think, but I know they have. They have got a tough Christmas period, so they're going to have to try and pick up some type of points from somewhere. However, Leeds have won just 2 of their last 32 away matches in London, so that does bode well for Chelsea. You conceded more than twice for the first time in 34 Premier League games under Tuchel. That was obviously away.
That's mad.
Away at West Ham. I think before that you'd only conceded 6 all season, right?
Yes, yeah, it was that.
Yeah, so to concede 3 in a game, that's quite a culture shock for your defence, who've been so solid, right?
We were quietly talking about potentially matching the 15 goals conceded record we had in 05. That's gone now. I don't think we catch up to that. Again, just shows how mad the record is too, but yeah, like form hasn't been the same. It's not been the same Chelsea over the last few weeks. That's why I'm like holding reservation over the way we play.
Why do you think that is?
The Ben Chilwell injury, in my opinion. Like, people will talk about Lukaku and how the team hasn't really mixed up well with him going forward, and I agree with that too. But we could accommodate for that with the way we played through the wing backs. A lot of our play came up from the width that Reece James and Ben Chilwell gave and the fluidity through that. Marcos Alonso doesn't give us the same. It allows teams to double up on Reece James on the right-hand side, and it also means that we can't really make up for the issues in the middle of the pitch with Lukaku and the rest of the attack. So now both of those things are an issue for us. And that's all just come off the Ben Chilwell injury. So I think that's the main reason why our form's just dipped over the last few weeks.
It'll be interesting to see what happens over Christmas. What's your prediction for this game?
I'm going to... I don't know, 3-2 Chelsea?
Wow.
Go 3-2 Chelsea.
You're backing Chelsea to concede another 2?
I think it's going to be a tough game for us against Leeds. Like, obviously, our defence is capable of keeping a clean sheet. Obviously, I always believe that. But I think Leeds are definitely going to be a bit of trouble for us in this fixture. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game based off both sides, but Chelsea should still edge it.
OK, I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. I still think Chelsea have got just bundles of quality and talent in there. So, but I do back Leeds to probably maybe just sneak a go in through someone like Rafinha, who's been in such great form.
Yeah, I haven't even spoke about Rafinha as well, too.
Right, Arsenal versus Southampton. Arsenal have lost just 1 of their last 11 league games against Southampton, which is interesting because I always feel like this game is like really kind of interesting. Maybe it's because there's quite a lot of draws that go on in it. Poor result against Everton Monday night. They didn't look very good, Arsenal. They lacked a lot of bite. Before that, obviously got done by Manchester United as well. Yeah. This has to be a must-win, right?
I thought they would have beaten Everton. Like I was saying it on the review show with Pippa a few days ago. I've said they've got no chance of losing this. And they played terribly. And now it's the case of it is just the same Arsenal. You can never predict these lot. Like they'll win the games that most of the games they're expected to win, and then they'll go lose to an Everton side that hasn't won in 8 games. Southampton, though, they're in the same sort of problem where their game management is just horrific. So I just really don't know who to back in this one. Also going through their struggles, and there's hella pressure on Arteta from the fans, but it's not really from the board, so it won't really mean too much.
It kind of flip-flops with Arteta because he was under a lot of pressure, you know, after they lost the first 3 games of the season. Obviously, they played some tough opposition. And they went on that really good, like, was it 7 or 8 match unbeaten run in the Premier League. And then now it seems all the pressure's back on. But again, they've lost to Liverpool and they've lost to Manchester United and then obviously Everton. Is it a case that, you know, they're always looking away, you know, for maybe the fan base to kind of get rid of Arteta?
The fan base have been, well, I won't say the whole fan base, but there's been sections of it that's just grown and grown that have just had enough of waiting for Arteta. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a big majority at this point. The problem is the board don't really want to get rid of him. They didn't give him any targets for the season, so I don't really see any pressure on his head.
What is a realistic target for Arsenal this season?
I thought top 6 with the lack of European football. I thought it'd be very possible for them to do it. Now, I'm not too sure because they have no European football. They've spent a lot of money this window again. They're still not getting the results. And it's clearly the manager that's the problem. So in terms of what the team should do, they should be getting into top 6. But I don't think Arteta is capable of it personally.
Okay, it's interesting. Southampton have conceded 47 away Premier League goals this calendar year, 2021. The joint most by any team in a year in Premier League history. They are kind of up and down, Southampton, as well. They've had a few good results, recently. But then they just don't really fill you with much confidence that they're going to get something out of a game. They also have a terrible record away at Arsenal. They haven't actually won away. They've never actually won away in 22 Premier League away games against Arsenal. So you'd say the tide is very much in Arsenal's favour on this one, despite Southampton having a little bit of form lately. Yes,
but it's just two teams with horrific game management for me. That's why it's really hard to predict. Southampton can start a game really well, but then they just will stick to the same game plan, or Hasenhüttl will make poor substitutions and it'll kill off their team's form. Arsenal, if they don't start a game well, they rarely ever get into it. And it's usually just moments of brilliance that are the difference for them.
Okay.
So I really don't know who to predict with these two.
I need your scores though, please.
1-1. So
okay.
1-1. I don't see either of them winning.
Do you know what? I'm actually going to back you as well on that. I think it's going to be a draw and I'm going to go 1-1 as well.
Yeah.
Norwich versus Manchester United. Norwich suffered that 3-0 defeat to Spurs last weekend. Manchester United beating Crystal Palace. Ralph Rangnick's first game in charge at the helm. They are, however, United actually winless in the last 4 Premier League matches against newly promoted sides. So that does give Norwich some type of positivity here. But Dean Smith has kind of come in, and I know that they suffered that defeat against Spurs, but they had looked a little bit revitalised, hadn't they, under Dean Smith?
They had, but it's the same thing with Norwich, where I just don't really think that they have the facilities for the Premier League, for being honest. And going into the Manchester United game, they're in good form, they're in good spirits under Rangnick too. So I think it's the most straightforward one here. Norwich aren't winning this one. No chance.
Yeah, I mean, United had that amazing record, 29 consecutive away games unbeaten. However, since they obviously lost on the road, 2 out of their last 4 have ended in defeat. So I think it's not as straightforward as you think. I mean, obviously, there's a massive gulf in terms of quality within the squads. But I think that, Norwich have been quite up for it lately. They weren't awful against Spurs. I think that they created chances. It's just they didn't have maybe the quality in front of goal to put it in the back of the net. Despite that, they have lost their last 10 against Manchester United. Do you think that Dean Smith is the one to keep them up?
No, but it's not really against Dean Smith. I just don't think Norwich have the quality to stay in the Premier League, and he's got a massive job behind him to make them into a team of that quality. I just don't think he can do it personally. There's nothing against him or Norwich. They haven't got the quality, as opposed to even the other teams in the relegation zone, in my opinion. I think they're just guaranteed to be rock bottom or somewhere thereabouts.
Okay. Prediction for this game?
2-0 United. Yeah, could even push for 3, to be honest. So I'm going to stick 2-0.
Okay, I'm going to go 3-1 Manchester United.
Norwich should get a goal?
Yeah, I think Norwich will get a goal, but I still think Manchester United will have way too much quality to keep them out. Manchester City take on Wolves. Wolves literally like the king of draws lately. I think it's 3 in a row, isn't it, or something like that. Well, actually, no, sorry, they lost last minute, didn't they, to Liverpool?
Yeah.
They were last minute, 90+4, Divock Origi. Manchester City have won 31 of their 39 Premier League games in 2021. Incredible stat. They've only drawn 2 and lost 6. Only Liverpool in 1982 and Chelsea in 2005 have won more matches in a single calendar year in top flight history. Bernardo Silva, though, he's just been incredible, hasn't he? I mean, he scored 6 goals in his last 8 Premier League appearances for Manchester City. Flying at the moment. I know City lost in the Champions League to Leipzig, a little bit uncharacteristic of them. But they're top of the table, right? Yeah,
the result didn't mean anything to them. I think they played a heavily rotated side too, so not that surprised.
Where would you rank Bernardo Silva this season in the Premier League? Because there's a lot of hype over Mo Salah, of course, and rightly so.
Well, in terms of the best players in the league?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have a look at, people that are in form, Bernardo Silva has to be up there alongside Mo Salah.
Defo. I think Salah's just edges it for me, but it's very tight between both of them. And I could see why Man City fans would say Bernardo Silva over Mo Salah, because he has been excellent this season. He's just been brilliant on the ball. Like, he's added playmaking. Well, I wouldn't say he's added playmaking, but his playmaking has got better. And he's looking a lot colder in front of goal too. But it's the same thing for Mo Salah. And Mo Salah, I think, is doing it to a just higher extent.
Is it because we've seen it for longer periods? I know that Bernardo Silva has always been amazing, but underratedly amazing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I think Bernardo Silva hasn't just got into this form. He's been doing it since the start of the season. I think it's just only started to come into the spotlight a bit more now. But that's nothing to take away from him either. It's just, I think Mo Salah was already at that high level. He just needed to add playmaking into it, and he did that. And now the goal scoring has become a lot more prolific with him as well, because last season was all about his conversion rate.
Yeah.
Like, he still got goals, but majority were penalties, and he was missing a boatload of chances as well. So he's got rid of that from his game too, and he just looks all-round efficient. He's got the work rate as well. He drops deep. He helps start the attacks as well as finish them too. Salah just edges it for me, but Bernardo Silva's a close second.
Okay. Wolves, again, have had quite a good season. They were sitting, pretty high up in the table. At one point, I think they were sitting 6th, weren't they?
Yes.
I think going back to last week. Obviously, they had that loss against Liverpool, as we mentioned. But since Bruno Laga's come in, he's kind of like changed the way that Wolves set up. They're a lot more attacking. I think their biggest problem is, the lack of conversion. You used to have people like Trent Cow and Adama Traore, but they make all these great runs, but they don't have anything in the final third to put it in the back of the net. Is that somewhere where you think Wolves have to strengthen in January, maybe up top? You forget they have Raul Jimenez, but they lost Diogo Jota.
That's the thing. It might be more of a creativity thing, to be fair, because I do think that they have the players that can finish. I think it's just more about, maybe it's a quality of chances, because I know that's an issue Chelsea have been having as well. We make chances, but we don't make good quality chances. So that might be something more for Wolves, but they're doing a lot better than I expected them to do this season. Like last season under Nuno, they finished like lower mid-table. They didn't look like the same Wolves of previous seasons, and now they look like the Wolves that first came up into the Premier League. So Laga's doing a great job so far.
Okay, prediction for this game?
Still hard to take City out of this. I'll go 2-0 City.
Okay, I'm going to match you and do 2-0 City as well. So Brighton versus Spurs, despite being on the longest current winless run in the Premier League, which is 10 games, drawing 8, losing 2, only the current top 3 clubs in the Premier League have lost fewer games than Brighton this season. So even though Graham Potter's getting booed, they're not losing games.
Only the current top 3 have less losses.
Yeah. Have lost
we
fewer
spoke about
games.
this on Saturday, but I already said, why are they even booing this man? Like, it's ridiculous. And they're going to say that he shouldn't have gone after the fans. I think the fans get too protected, to be honest. He had every right to go at them if they're going to go at him.
I agree.
He's got Brighton in the best position they've been at since they got promoted, and they're still complaining.
And I get it's like frustrating to have continuous draws, but surely you would have continuous draws over continuous losses, right? Especially Brighton, when it's difficult for them to kind of maintain being in the Premier League.
Brighton used to go like 4 months in a row with like 2 wins towards the back end of seasons and stuff. Like, I don't know where the high expectations came from them. And if it is, it's because Potter himself has gassed them up. So I don't get it. I completely don't get it.
Neil Maupay, I mean, he scored some outrageous goals lately. That acrobatic one, and then the last minute was like 90 plus 8 the other day.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
To get the equaliser against Southampton. 6 Premier League goals for Brighton this season, which has been worth 7 points to the Seagulls. Only Jamie Vardy's strikes being more valuable for side this term. Is Neil Maupay underrated?
I think the reason why a lot of people are saying is because a lot of these goals are coming late. Like, he's making a habit for these late goals. There was the one at West Ham, there was one at Southampton, Crystal Palace as well. Like, he's turning up clutch for Brighton a lot. Overall quality, not too sure. Like, I think he's a good striker. Would I put him up there with the best in the league? No. But I do think he's a quality striker, and he has saved Brighton a lot of times this season. So you've got to give him the flowers for that, but I'll give him a bit more time before that, because right now I just think he's good, but I don't think he's great. Okay.
Spurs, they've kind of hitting a little bit of a purple patch. Spurs have won 5 of their 8 Premier League meetings with Brighton. However, all the failures to win have come at the Amex. And I know Spurs have only played Leeds, Brentford, Norwich so far under Conte in the Premier League. But do you think they've turned a corner? I mean, they sit 2 points off of top 4 after, behind West Ham, who are arguably having a fantastic season. They've got a game in hand, that postponed game against Burnley. They may very well have this game postponed and have 2 games in hand. Is this a positive thing for Spurs?
Yeah, And people look at the teams that they're facing and just say, "Oh, you guys have just placed teams that you have to beat." But that still builds confidence. Like, look at the position you guys were in before Nuno got sacked. You're shipping free everywhere around London. You guys had barely any wins on the board, and you guys were hating football. I don't think you're feeling that way under Antonio Conte right now.
No, I think that there's definitely more belief. You know, from my perspective, I think that people back the manager 100%. I still can't quite believe that he's taken that job. You know, one of the greatest managers probably in the world right now, top 3 for me, and he's at Tottenham Hotspur, so that has to give you some confidence. I think the back line have been much better, even without Christian Romero, who's been Spurs' best player, you know, this season, that long-term injury he's got. Oliver Skipp, he's been the best player for all Spurs this season by a country mile. Spurs fans that are watching him week in, week out, and Norwich fans from last season will also tell you he's criminally underrated, but he'll get there in the end. He's still really young.
But you see, it's just, look at the way you're speaking about Spurs in general, and it's only been 3 games.
Much more enthusiastic, right?
Exactly, and it doesn't matter about the opposition that you guys have been facing. Like Thomas Tuchel's first games for Chelsea, we played Wolves, Burnley, Newcastle. I think you guys as well. It was under Jose Mourinho though. But like, it was all, say, defensive teams, but also teams that we should have got results against at the time. And it builds confidence within the squad. And that's exactly what you guys need. So that'll build well when you face the tougher teams.
Absolutely. However, if this one does go ahead, Spurs are going to be without a lot of key players. So keep that in mind with your prediction. What is your prediction?
Who's out? Who potentially would be out?
I think Son's out. I think Lucas is out. I think someone else.
Wait, they've all caught the vid.
There's currently sitting at 11 players. So put it that way, it's going to be at least 11 probably first teamers.
Ah, okay.
Ben Davis is out. Surely this game can't go ahead.
Yeah, if this game goes ahead, it's a bit sticky for you guys. I can't lie.
It can't go ahead.
I might have to edge 1-0 Brighton.
Based on this current situation.
Yeah, but it's only the injuries. Like, I think if it's a full squad, you thrash them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that probably if this COVID outbreak continues and it does go ahead, I would back Brighton for a win on this one.
Definitely.
But if it gets postponed, then obviously we'll be discussing it at a later date. Burnley versus West Ham. Burnley have picked up just 1 win from their last 17 Premier League games. The Clarets are they're failing to score on 9 occasions in that run, even though Max Cornet's been fairly good. West Ham have won 9 points from behind so far this term, with only Everton earning more. When is this West Ham bubble going to burst?
I was going to say the Christmas period, but I'm not even too sure about that. Now, I think it'll be more towards the back end of the season, because I expect this team to progress well in the Europa League. And I think maybe both having to deal with Europa and Premier League fixtures, because they are going to be trying to push to break the top 4 too. I think one of that's got to give. So I'd expect their form to dip towards the back end of last season. I think it did last season as well too. So right now they're in great spirits. Obviously we saw it for ourselves last week. I couldn't really back anything other than a West Ham win. Burnley are defensively solid, but like they're just more frustrating than solid.
Do you think they're at risk for relegation, Burnley?
They always are, but they always find a way out. So it's really hard to predict with them. But the quality in the bottom 10, surprisingly, is so strong. It might be Burnley, because I think there's going to be one surprise team that makes a drop that people don't expect.
I agree with you, and I actually backed Burnley to unfortunately go down at the beginning of the season. So
wouldn't blame you.
It'd be interesting to see how that turns out. Prediction, please, for that one?
2-0 West Ham, 2-0.
Okay, I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham on that one. Leicester versus Newcastle. Since the return to the Premier League in 2014, Leicester have won more Premier League games against Newcastle than any other side. Leicester have conceded at least 1 in their last 14 Premier League games since beating Wolves on the opening weekend. Are Leicester out of this top 4 race for you? Not
even, well, they got a lot of work to do to get back into it, but I don't think they're out. But their form's been horrific. They've been so bad this season. They've been so predictable as well with what the problems are in their squad. I've already said I think it's the manager that's the problem, but I don't know where the tipping point is before the owners sack him. So I don't really know how long this lasts, but you can't really predict Leicester for anybody right now. They've been so bad for so long. They're
really, really hit and miss. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them as the season goes on. But Newcastle manager Eddie Howe has never won away at Leicester in his managerial career. Drawn 4, losing 5 in his 9 trips to the KP in all competitions. Eddie Howe coming in, they got their first win against Burnley last weekend. Newcastle, finally, the Ducks off the back. Only taken 15 games. How big of a job does Eddie Howe have here? And do you think they'll stay up this season?
See, here's the thing. I thought it was a big job until I realised with their win, I think they're only 3 points off safety. And that's despite only getting their first win now. So the job is definitely doable, and that'll give them a lot more confidence as well, because now they finally got that duck off their back. They've got their first win in the Premier League. It'll give them a bit of confidence, and especially facing a Leicester side that don't have confidence. I think if I was Newcastle, I'd smell blood in the water. I'd be a bit optimistic going into this game.
Okay. Prediction for that one?
I'm very close to predicting a shock Newcastle win, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester.
2-1 Leicester, fair play.
2-1 Leicester. Brentford versus Watford. This will be the first ever top-flight meeting between Brentford and Watford. The two sides have obviously met in the Championship, but not in the top tier. Watford are the only team yet to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League this season, while the Hornets have conceded more Premier League goals than any other side since Claudio Ranieri took charge. An interesting one here, because obviously Brentford are kind of understanding the Premier League a lot more now. I think it's hit home a little bit. Watford, again, still very yo-yo-y. I know they beat United 4-1 a few weeks ago, but, you know, the situation surrounding that were obvious. How do you see this one going?
I actually think this could be a Watford win, because Brentford's form hasn't been that good over the last few games. Yeah, they beat Everton, but it was an Ivan Toney penalty, and Everton have been in horrendous form either, so wouldn't even really flex that too much. Other than that, they've been, I won't say poor, but like they haven't been the same Brentford from the start of the season.
Definitely.
And I expect the struggles to continue as well. I think Watford looked good under Ranieri. Like, they were definitely the better team against us last week. Did lose 3-1 to Man City, but it's Man City. Like, what do you expect? Because before they used to get pammed 8-0 by them. Now it's just 3-1. Like, that's probably progress in itself. But Ranieri's getting a tune out of that Watford side. And I think it'll be an interesting game. I don't think it's going to be a whitewash or anything, but I think Watford will be the better team in this one.
Okay, prediction?
2-1. Yeah, 2-1 Watford.
2-1 Watford. Okay, I'm going to go 1-1 for this one. And finally, Crystal Palace, who take on Everton. Palace are winless in their last 13 Premier League meetings with Everton, drawing 7, losing 6 since a 3-2 away win in September 2014. Everton are winless in 5 away Premier League matches, drawing 1 and losing 4. Their worst run since an 8-game stretch between April and October 2019. Obviously, Everton did win the other night. They broke that 8-game run of losing streaks at home. Do you think that Arsenal result could give Everton the boost they need?
That's what's making this game a bit more confusing for me, because if it weren't for the Arsenal game, I'd think this is just straight Crystal Palace win. But now that they've got that win, now I think there's a bit more confidence in the fan base and also in the squad as well, of the way that they got that result too. They could ride it a little bit. They really could. And Palace have been a strong team too, so I don't think they make it easy.
Yeah, you're right. Palace have been a strong side, but I think in recent weeks they have struggled maybe a little bit more. Crystal Palace with, you know, maybe just defensively. They're very good going forward, and we see that counter-attack style play. But I think in the last few weeks we have seen them struggle a little bit. So that one will be interesting to see how that ends up. A real test for both. Prediction, please.
This one's a hard one. I really don't know. I'm going to edge Crystal Palace on this one. And I'm just going to say, I think another 2-1, because I think both teams will score in this game too. It could go either way, but I'm just going to edge Palace.
Okay, do you know what? I'm going to edge Everton. Just because of confidence. I feel like maybe this is time they can go on a run. They've got a tough Christmas as well, Everton, so this is actually the game they have to win. I think they've got Leicester, Chelsea as well coming up. And maybe Manchester City as well. So I'm going to back Everton 2-1 in this fixture. That is everything. Thank you very much. Be interesting to see what goes on this weekend. And of course, we'll be together on Saturday for the Saturday football show.
Therefore.
Yeah, look forward to it. So make sure that you guys head over to the Don Robbie Extra app, www.donrobbie.com, for all extra content. And we will see you guys next week. Hey everybody, and welcome to our brand new Saturday football show.
You wouldn't think anyone's better?
No, listen, mate, he's a glorified Ollie, man.
How could you say that, Saeed? He's actually one thing.
That is one thing.
Penalty at Watford.
What one? Might as well, bro. It's going to be a long day.
Good for down there, whoever's down there. Celtic for me. Manchester United, we
You're down there with them, bro.
Not according to Saeed.
Oh, he's good, like. He's good. No, and it's Robbie, stop putting words in my mouth.
Take Arsene Wenger.
I think Arsene Wenger to the season.
2-0.
2-0
to Watford.
Wait, be the camera.
This guy makes it.
Please get this manager out. I am done.
Graham Potter is a fantastic manager.
But you've got to see the positives in this. If you don't want Ollie at the wheel, this is where the wheel's going to come off. There's been a goal and it's 3-1.
Oh my God. What?
Honestly, I am having the biggest celebration when this guy's gone, mate. I don't care if he's a legend.
Party at Saeed.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Could anyone give me a rendition of Ollie's at the Wheel?
I want to buy Saeed a pint. I want to take him out and I'm so sorry, Saeed, lad.
We will leave you on that, guys. Have a great evening, and we will see you the same time next week.